I did not expect this from the SEC. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, breaking down the SEC schedule. Format release on Thursday. The conference still has yet to release the dates and the teams that will make up the 10-game conference schedule for the SEC in 2020. But no conference games. That, of course, the headliner in regards to the SEC's decision that was announced. All right, leave your comments in the comment section below. Your thoughts about the SEC's approach to the 2020 COVID-19 scheduling format and wiping out non-conference games. So that's what surprised me, because the SEC, of course, above anyone else in the Power Five, has the reputation of football first. And I think we could have taken a poll among College Football Nation, and this would have been the conference that would have been the least likely to cancel non-conference games, because, again, the perception is, or maybe it's not a perception, that it means more in the SEC. But no, the SEC is going to go with a 10-game conference schedule, expanding the 8-game format to 10 no non-conference games. Okay, so let's get to the non-conference portion of this. First and foremost, this wipes out the traditional SEC-ACC matchups that involve Kentucky, Louisville, Florida State, Georgia Tech, and Clemson, South Carolina. Clemson AD Dan Radakovich called this disappointing in regards to a series between Clemson and South Carolina for the Palmetto State that has been played since 1909 that will not be played in 2020. Also, Syracuse Athletic Director John Wildhack, who commented that when the ACC decided just a few days ago and finalized and announced its decision to play one non-conference game, that a large factor in that determination was the rivalry games against the SEC. Then the SEC turns around just a few days later and announces, no ACC, we are not playing you in 2020. So these are some of the huge matchups that were already taken off the board by the Pac-12 decision last week not to play non-conference games. So Alabama, USC, Texas A&M, Colorado already nixed from the schedule. Add to that these games: Georgia, Virginia, Auburn, North Carolina, part of that Atlanta weekend between the ACC and the SEC on opening weekend. LSU, Texas, the rematch in Death Valley, will not be played. And also not played this year, Arkansas, Notre Dame, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Mizzou and BYU. Vanderbilt, Kansas State will not be played, as well as Mississippi State, North Carolina State. Another SEC-ACC matchup, Ole Miss and Baylor, will not play this season. All in all, 22 games between the SEC and Group of 5 teams canceled. It will be interesting to see how this impacts the Group of 5, which have basically waited for the big boys in the Power 5 to determine their approach to the COVID-19 2020 college football season. So now we're down to this. The Pac-12, the Big Ten, and the SEC are not playing non-conference games. The ACC announced that it will play one non-conference game. Who will they play that against? Well, it would have to be against either the Big 12 or Group of 5 teams. There are heavy restrictions that the ACC has placed on the scheduling of these non-conference games, and we will talk a little bit more about that later when we break down the ACC schedule that has been announced. We're still awaiting the SEC format. We've got the format of 10 games, but the approach for the SEC has yet to be determined and announced. My thought is you build a balanced schedule, meaning you do your best to build a schedule, especially since there are no non-conference games to judge and evaluate these teams for a college football playoff against the 4 other conferences. Need to build a schedule to determine a champion in the fairest way possible. The fairest way possible is to build a schedule that has a composite 500 conference record for all the teams on every team's schedule from the previous season. So, for example, if you add up Alabama's 10 opponents in the SEC, it should add up very closely, if not dead on, to a 500 record from the previous season. That is most fair. It will be interesting to see the SEC's determination and whether they're leaning one way or the other in regards to safety and travel. Are they going to lean in terms of what I just mentioned, equality, fairness, balanced scheduling? Are they going to try to increase the allure of the league and schedule very marquee, prestigious, attractive matchups? I don't think they really need to do that. The conference already, with the likes of Alabama, LSU, Auburn, on down the line, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee in the other division, certainly have enough marquee matchups that I don't think they will need to go out of their way to create that. So it will be interesting to see what the SEC does in regards to its approach to building this 10-game schedule. Again, my approach would be a fair, balanced, equitable approach to scheduling based on last year's results. Would love to hear from you, how you would approach this, how you feel about the SEC not playing a non-conference schedule. This is a bit of a surprise to me, although in recent days, SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey has certainly pointed toward the severity of the situation, indicating at times that the season is in jeopardy. So based on his recent comments, not necessarily surprising, but based on the overall approach to football from the SEC, of course, I was a bit taken back by the elimination of non-conference games, and also would love to know what non-conference game that the SEC was involved in that you will miss most. I'm going with Auburn, North Carolina, and LSU, Texas are the two games that I most wanted to see the SEC play out of conference. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We'll be back with our look at the ACC 10-game schedule that has been released.